February 12, 1998. Lowestoft, England. Filmed by David Spoor, this footage showcases a stationary saucer-shaped object in the night sky.
And I managed to get a shot of it with the camera actually propped on the top of our car, so it's fairly steady. It kept in that position for around half a minute or so.
A few moments later, the unidentified object suddenly departs, exhibiting an unusual acceleration.
Then it suddenly shot off quite a pretty fast speed.
Of course, there's a possibility that this footage was faked. However, faking videos back in the 90s was definitely not an easy task, as personal video editing software was way too limited back then. Drones are also out of the question, not only because they were not very accessible back then, but also because the shape of the object doesn't seem to match. Fake footage or a drone, the mystery of the Lowestoft UFO remains unexplained to this day. Gulf Mystery. Now let's move on to a place that's historically known for its unexplained incidents, the Gulf of Mexico. Recorded in 2015, this video showcases a pink light exhibiting rapid movements far from the shore. The author of this video claimed that the way the object flies resembles the way a drone moves, but knowing that the platform is about 130 miles from the shore and the object is probably around 8 miles away from the platform, the chances of the UFO being a civilian drone are slim to none, since no civilian drone could go that far. Not to mention the battery power required for such a long trip. Years have passed since this incident took place, however the origin of the object or explanation for this event remains unsolved to this day. The Black Object. Next, we're taken to Israel on November 21, 2023, where an unidentified object was recorded while being completely stationary in broad daylight for a long period of time. The author of the video claims that he drove by it once and found it a little bit odd, but didn't give it much attention. After about an hour, when he was returning on the same road, the object was still there. In over an hour, the object hasn't moved even a bit. Taking a closer look at the video, a black, elongated object can be seen. Even though it was recorded from afar, it seems to be pretty big, probably around 6 feet. A military aircraft or an outworld entity? The question remains, as this mystery is still unsolved to this day. Chicago Orbs. Let's move on to Chicago. Recorded in June 2023, this video showcases 6 flying black orbs in broad daylight. As soon as the person that was recording this incident loses sight of the objects from his backyard, he quickly moves to the front of his house, only to witness the unidentified objects suddenly speeding up and departing in the same direction. Also, the Reddit user who found this video on social media claims that he took a look at the profile of the original poster to get more information about it, but all he found were dirt bike and dog videos. Nothing about UFOs. This basically means that there was no prior interest in the topic, consequently decreasing the odds of that video being a hoax. Now, to make things more interesting, a Reddit user from England left a response to this video where he recalls a similar experience, which gives an extra layer of credibility to this incident. I saw a UFO like this with my brother about 20 years ago in England. I always described it as a coin flipping across the sky. It was weird too, because the next day on the news, supposedly, a helicopter crashed in the ocean. Even though I was like 10, I suspected it was a cover-up for the UFO we saw. Could these two people have witnessed the same object? The similarities between the video and how the Reddit user from England describes it are intriguing. Let me know your thoughts in the comments. But now, if you made it this far into the video, please consider leaving a like and subscribing to this channel. You can also support us by becoming a member by clicking on the join button below. It will help immensely. I also want to take a moment to thank all of the members of the channel. A big thanks to Paul Gardner II and Annie Davis for helping to support the channel. It means so much to me. With that being said, let's jump back to where we stopped. 1979 Stadium Sighting.
I want you to explain that to me, Dr. Spock. I'm afraid to.
Now, let's go back to October 28, 1979. A football game between the Dallas Cowboys and Pittsburgh Steelers is taking place. However, something really odd happened that day. The commercial break was suddenly interrupted by the announcers to show two unidentified objects that were hovering over the stadium, being witnessed by over 50,000 people. The most reasonable explanation for this event was that those two objects were actually UFO kites, which are commonly sold at football games. However, if kites are actually that popular during football games, I don't think that the announcers would act the way they did. They seemed really confused.
There it is. Now what is that?
Now taking a closer look, they seem to be rotating pretty fast and don't seem that big, probably just around 20 inches, which would probably align with the size of a kite. Decades have passed since this intriguing event took place, and no definitive answer has ever been given. While people who were in person during that game claimed that those objects were not kites, skeptics stand their ground, stating the exact opposite. Cockpit Encounter. The next video takes us to a 787 plane traveling from Japan to Canada on November 19, 2023. At around 4 a.m., 3 pilots witnessed a few objects moving at incredible speeds. The objects flashed blue, orange, and green lights. After trying to make something out of what they had just seen, the pilots agreed those objects were not satellites or Starlink flares, since they were not only changing colors but also appearing and disappearing randomly. The author of the video also claims that the speed of those objects was around 10 to 20 times faster than an aircraft traveling in the opposite direction, so planes can also be ruled out of this investigation. Given that this report came from 3 trained pilots, it adds weight to this sighting. Pilots spend most of their lives in the skies, so if a flying object makes them rub their heads like this, it's definitely something that falls out of mundane explanations. For that reason, this mystery still remains unsolved to this day. Clermont Lights. Recorded in Clermont, Florida, on November 25, 2023, this footage showcases a set of orange lights flying in the night sky. The author of the video claimed that he assumed it was just a drone since there was just one light at first. However, a few more lights started to show up from behind his neighbor's roof. It's also important to note that Clermont is a very small town, and according to the author of the video, they don't have drone shows or anything like that. Taking a closer look at this light formation, it seems pretty similar to another video from Virginia that was featured on episode 2 of this series. Oddly enough, this video was recorded just days before, on November 6, 2023, while the one from Clermont is from November 25th. Could there be a connection between these two events? Let me know your thoughts in the comments. And there you have it. A set of mysterious UFO videos from around the internet. Each sighting brings its own set of questions, leaving us to wonder about the mysteries that linger in our skies. What are your thoughts on these encounters? Share your insights in the comments below. Until next time, keep your eyes on the skies and stay vigilant.